we beat ourselves up for 12 days. And I'm like, that was the funnest hunt of my life. And they're like, you're sick and twisted. And I'm like, that is what it's all about for me. So why, I don't know, but it definitely, that's what trips my trigger, is hunts like that. For me, it's not the inches, even though that was a big bull. It's about the adventure. When it's like that, and maybe it's from being in the military or whatever, when you're that far in and you're living off the land, like we cut up the tenderloin and cooked it and cooked the fish, and then you have basically 8 miles to go in a heavy physical challenge, it was the funnest time of my life.
All right, folks. Welcome back to the Gritty Bowman Podcast. Aron is coming at you from Kafaru, and I'm coming at you from the treehouse in the OC. We just launched Aron Snyder Photography, which I'm super jacked about. And I took some canvas prints with me up to the Total Archery Challenge and showed those off to people. And just, they're super cool, man. They're impressive. I put a video out there for Aron Snyder Photography that lets people sort of get a taste of your prints and then see them in someone's house, and just kind of has that. It's just a little 1 minute promo. I put it on our social media accounts, share it out. But anyway, with that has come a lot of questions about photography and
which are not quick questions to answer.
No, I got a ton of emails from people or comments from people saying, I really want to do this. You know, I want to capture moments like this. I want to do this on my own. I want to blow up my own canvas prints, my own shots. This is, and so it's really cool to see people get motivated to go out and do their own hunts, get cameras and film their own stuff.
One thing we learned on the bear hunt is I am not a great videographer, and you are not up to par quite on photography. We learned that quick because I suck at filming, and I was getting frustrated when you were behind the camera because of what you didn't know I look at when I edit, and what I need in the photo and what I don't. Because, post-processing, obviously, I do, can crop and things like that. But as far as some of the questions that have been asked on the photography side of things to blow up a print, which we're learning every day, specifically me, one, you need to shoot in RAW. You need the largest file size you can get. This is very generalized, but if you want to blow the larger you want to blow up your print, the larger file size you need. You've got a certain amount of pixels per inch, obviously, and things can get grainy. So you want to make sure and shoot your photos in RAW. You also want to get a post-processing software. I use Lightroom, and I've probably learned a solid 55% of Lightroom, maybe 60%. There's still things on Lightroom I don't know. I mean, it works for me with what I do now, but there's things that I haven't really scratched everything Lightroom can do.
Yeah.
The other question is, camera body, lenses. The big one I get is, what lenses do you take in the field? And for me, and this has nothing to do with filming, because what Brian has to take for filming and what I take are completely different. Now, if you're trying to shoot photography, like wildlife photography, that's different than what I do for the most part. You need a very expensive lens and a very heavy tripod to do it right. So what I'm going to talk about is landscape, the scenery type shots, the camp shots, the everyday type stuff. To me, you need a wide angle, and you need a 50 millimeter or a 35 millimeter, like a walk around lens, or what I would call a walk around lens. Your wide angle is for landscape and scenery, and then your 50 or your 35 is your walk around. So when guys are hiking, some of the camp shots, some product shots, like we always zoom into the Kafaru and Gritty Bowman logos. That's your 50 or your 35. Now, some of the other questions I get, after lenses, what does f4 mean? What does f2.8 mean? So what that means in like the down and dirty, if someone says that's a super fast lens, what that means, and I'm keeping this dumbed down as possible, is the F. Basically, it means is you can go super shallow depth of field, meaning not much is in focus. So the F, like for an F4, is at average speed. It's not super fast. But what that does, you have a shutter, and that shutter opens at a certain speed, real fast, real slow, like you, and then you have your f-stop, or your aperture, and that's how big it opens, right? So a big hole or a little hole, and that also has to do with your depth of field or what's in focus. And you have to do your ISO comes into play in metering. The biggest thing, one, is you need to learn all those things and how to adjust them on your camera. Cody Covey, a really good friend of mine, just got a T5i or whatever it is from Canon. And so he just did what I suggest for everybody to do. Grab the manual, just start snapping photos of your dog, your cat, your kids, shooting your bow, and learn how those things all adjust. Because when you shoot a flower, you're going to be at like 1.2, 1.4, 1.8, super, super fast, which means only that flower is going to be in focus. Everything else is blurred out. When you're shooting a landscape, you're going to be at like F11, F super high, meaning everything is in focus. But then you run into light issues. If you have low light, then you're going to have to screw with your ISO. When you screw with your ISO, the higher ISO, you get grainy photos.
Yep.
It all comes into play with videography as well. So to not make this thing 5 hours long, the one thing I've learned is always shoot in crappy situations, because you're going to get photos that other people don't get. It's just how life is. When I say crappy situations, cliffs, crappy weather, anything that you would think, my God, I don't want to get my camera out. Get your camera out. I've got some of the best photos of Derek, a very good friend of mine, O'Driscoll, hanging off. He was pissed, like super pissed. He's like dropping F-bombs. What the flip are you doing? Put that camera away. Which isn't the coolest thing in the world, but he's basically stuck on a cliff, and I'm taking photos of him.
Right.
He probably thanks me now, because they were cool photos, but he was not happy at the time. But what you need to learn, right, is in those situations, and you're really good at with the videography portion or the video, is the faster the better you learn your adjustments, the less of a chance you have to screw up your photo. So when I look at something and I know immediately, boom, f5.6, ISO 400, it's kind of cloudy, and then I'll keep it an aperture priority, which you need to learn that, meaning the shutter speed takes care of itself. I can shoot that immediately when the camera gets out. If you're one of those guys that's taking 5 minutes to figure out the adjustment, you're probably not going to get the best photo in the world. Now, for me, people ask what mode I shoot in. I never shoot in auto. I don't shoot auto ISO. But I do shoot an aperture priority, meaning I adjust the aperture myself for the f-stop, and the camera adjusts the shutter speed for me, and then I manually adjust the ISO and the metering and the white balance. A lot of this is going to be Greek to people until they learn it. Well, for me, the aperture priority is important, because if you're climbing up a cliff behind me, but I want to get like super, your face just crisp as can be because you're sweating and you've got a little fear in your eye. I don't want F11, right? I want your face to be the focal point of that specific photo. And so I'm going to bump it down to like 2.8 probably, or F4, 3.5, pretty low. So I'm just getting your face, and all the scenery is blurred out. But let's say I want to take a photo of a lake, or I want to take a photo of some scenery. A lot of people have issues, and there's certain terminology for this, but I'll just explain it in layman's terms. If you go into the woods and you've got shade, sun, shade, creek, woodline, moss, it's going to suck. There's no way around it.
Harsh light.
Yeah, harsh light, and also you've got too much clutter going on. But if you've got the field of dreams, the creek flowing through, and the mountain range, you've got three main parts, and that's what you want. You don't want to get your photo into like 15 different things, because I want that creek to be, oh my, I want to catch fish in that creek. I want them to be focused. So I'm going to pop that creek and make sure what I want and focus on that creek is in focus, or the whole background, but I want that creek to be the first thing they see. And then I also want to make sure, my more or less my metering's correct and the amount of lighting. I'm not going to confuse people, but you don't want to get too cluttered of a photo. When you go to take a photo of anything, the less clutter in that, the better. Now, like when you're shooting an animal shot or a trophy photo, that doesn't come into play as much. But some of the photos like you with the lake, I had you standing there, focal point, Brian, he looks badass, shoulders popped out, perfect first light product shot. You got the hood on, and the focal point of that is you. But we've got a badass lake in the background. We got fog rolling in. So instead of just focusing on you, the scenery was worthwhile. So I bumped my f-stop to where it normally would have been maybe an f4. I bumped it up to I think I was at f8 or f11, because I want people to see you are man conquering the world with the lake in front of you and all of it pop in. Those are all things you just learn with practice. Some people have it and some don't, but you cannot do any of those things until you learn how to operate your camera.
Yeah.
You got anything to add in there?
Dude, you're right on. I mean, I think you got to get your camera out and play with it, use it, take shots. I mean, the first year I had my camera, pretty much I took it to took it everywhere I went. And I filmed with it constantly. And I'd get back and I'm like, well, that sucked. I screwed that up. But it was all practice. Sometimes what I see is people get cameras and then they wait till they go on a trip or they're going hunting and then they're using it. They're like, I got it for this use. You're never going to get that good with it. It's the people who just carry it around with them everywhere they go. The other thing that I found is what I can't stand is when my camera is put away, quote unquote, put away, like it's in my backpack or it's not ready for use constantly. And too many guys don't get footage because they strap their camera to their back or to their bag or put it inside their bag. It's like, get it out.
Yeah.
Get it out. Find a way to get it out and keep it at the ready all the time or you won't use it.
Yeah, that's a fact. And I mean, photography is the same way. And any good photographer, has their camera, hanging on them all the time. And, without getting in I'm finding there's a little tension in the photography world and outdoors right now between quote unquote pro photographers that get paid for taking photos. And then, obviously we're getting paid now, we're selling prints. But, the thing is like, I would say is get out there, learn your camera, get the best equipment you can find, and just make the best of what you have because you're documenting what you're doing and you're going to gain knowledge even with crappy equipment. Or not crappy, not pro level equipment or prosumer is what they'll call it. Yeah. The thing is that people have to understand if you're only going to post on Facebook or you don't need crazy high-res photos or, because they're so compressed anyway. But if you're going to start doing like super, full page ads and things like that, you're going to need a little bit better camera. Just learn. It's what I did. I got cheaper stuff and I learned, and now I have really good equipment. But the thing is, if you're not capturing the adventure, you might as well not even have a camera. You got it. Ryan Avery's a prime example. We'll go on a 7-day hunt. He'll take 3 photos. Before we've got out of the tent opening morning, I've probably taken 50, right? Yeah, I've taken photos of everything. And so, of course, for me, I'm documenting it with photography, which requires a bit more photos than someone like you. You're documenting it with video. You're capturing everything.
Which I think is going to be sweet because you're going to be able to teach me a lot more about photography. I'll be able to show you a little more about videography. But the two of us together, dude, we should be able to be able to tell some sweet stories. The combos.
And it's catching, dude. Colton, it's like heroin with Colton now. He took the old 5D3 with him.
Yeah,
he's ready to go. He's ready to jerk dirty on a camera. He's like, so which one? He's texting me constantly. Should I get a Mark III? Should I get a Sony? What should I get? What lenses should I get? Because he now that he's got to screw around with it, dude, he's liking it. And I mean, the thing is you're capturing your memories, you're capturing your adventure. And so, like, when Katie asks me for a photo or something, I'll go into an album and I'm reliving that entire trip through that album. It's a photography is
Powerful.
Really cool for me. Yeah.
Yeah. So there have been a few people who have had a little difficulty finding the Aron Snyder photography store. I'll try to put it somewhere else on the website. But just for people that want to go out and take a look at it, you go to the menu. You got to find the menu. If you're on a mobile device, the menu's at the top. There's a button that says menu. If you're on a PC or whatever, or your desktop, it just says Aron Snyder Photography on the left-hand side on the menu. Left-hand menu. Click on that and then go to catalog, and you'll see the prints we have uploaded so far. I have a couple of questions for listeners that are, into this.
I got to interrupt.
Yeah.
My buddy Matt just smoked a ram up in NWT in Nahani. Matt comment, super cool guy, nicest guy in the world. The only reason I bring this up is he was like right in what we're talking about. What do I get? What camera do I need? What do it? And he bought an RX 100, but he just sent me a message on the DeLorme with, I got a big one. You're gonna love the photos. Sweet. And so it's cool that happened right in the middle of this because I'm look. I don't know. I'm not going to show anybody the photo, but it's cool to help push photography on to others or whatever. So anyway, I'm excited for Matt. Sorry.
Well, I think it's cool because, again, if other guys are doing it too and they get excited about not just photography but filmmaking as well, or just capturing some of that and sharing it, man, you're taking people who live in cities or who are just close to this lifestyle, you're taking them and putting them in your world. And because you have a relationship with them already, and then you're taking them out there and exposing them to that, you're just helping them, see that whole circle of life thing, appreciate hunting.
Dude, I converted some antis that were death threatening the hell out of us from the bear hunt. I just sent them a message and I said, hey, don't get the wrong opinion. I don't have any issue killing an animal, but I eat what I kill. And they're sure you do. Guys were just straight up Peckerwoods. And they got on my page and messaged me like, wow, you are not what I expected. Because they remember this is not, obviously you care for animals. Like you can see a love for the outdoors in your photography. And so it does show a very, very different front when you're not throwing dead animals in the back of a pickup truck and taking a photo where you've got them in their natural habitat, you've got them on the side of the mountain. It does show you're not just some dumb redneck shooting outside the window, right? It shows that you have a brain.
Well, and when the outdoors and the beauty there, it captures people. It speaks to us deep inside, and I think, when you get it on film like that, it's just a chance to really make a difference. Like, people see that and they're moved by it. It's beauty. So anyway, you can find the store by going to the menu, Aron Snyder Photography, clicking on that, and going to the catalog. Two things that I have questions about. One is the pricing on the prints. You and I kind of talked about this for a while, trying to figure that out. We think we have it priced at a pretty low price point compared to what others are. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Aron is hated by other outdoor
That's
photographers.
Brought up the contention in the. I've gotten some hateful email from other photographers. It turns out we're about 75% low.
And so anyway, so it's kind of low, but I so I was curious what our listeners think about that, and then about the pricing. Hopefully it enables everybody to get some of it if they want it in their home, and the other thing I had a question about was was the logo. Like, do we post it I've thought about it. Does the logo go on the print? Does it go in the bottom corner? Is it small? Is it big? Do you have it on there at all? And for me, I kind of want it to have the Aron Snyder logo on it. It's part of what makes it cool for me. But I wasn't sure, how other people feel about that. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I'm moot. We discussed that in the beginning. I'm good either way.
Yeah. So I've toyed around with not having a logo on there at all, and then having one. So it's sort of a thing. So I'm very curious what people think. So far, all I've heard is these are awesome and people buy them. So, but yeah. Anyway, so that's that. There's not I go out there, Aaron, and I know how many pictures you have, and there's a ton of them. And I go out there and I look at how many are loaded. It's still kind of small. So I just want people to know that we're adding more photos to it. We'll be adding more photos to it all the time. It's just going to take time.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I appreciate all the good comments I get on the photography as well, just because that's one of the main reasons, or a big reason I take photos, is I want people to be able to live through us and help motivate people to, because believe me, it would be easier to not pack 20 extra pounds of camera gear. But if it gets people in the outdoors, gets them motivated, gets them into hunting and photography, it's well worth it.
Yes, it's a win-win. All right, dude. Anything else to add?
No, I don't think so. I think we've covered it all. If you have any comments on a photo you would want to see or may want to see more of, specific scenes or something, don't be afraid to throw that down too. Obviously I got the cameras with me all the time, so I'm more than willing to step out of the box if I need to.
I've seen a couple, but I want to see. I need an epic elk print of a stud bull.
You need to go to Rocky Mountain National Park where they stand still.
That's right. I just need an awesome print like that, very large for my. I've got the buck in the snow, Frost. That's a cool print. I've given it a couple to some friends as gifts, and universally people love that. It's just a very cool shot, and it turns out on the canvas, it just turned out awesome. And the teepees in the snow, that's awesome.
And that wasn't like a made up thing. That's where we all fell in the river, and we were like 7 miles in, and that was an epic trip.
Well, the picture says it all, dude. That snow's coming down. There's a classic example of you pulling your camera out when everything's like, I don't want to get my camera out right now. That's got to be one of those moments, because the snow's coming down sideways, it looks like.
It was a blizzard.
So, very cool, though. Very cool. All right, man. Well, let's wrap it up. I'll try to get these shows out as soon as I can, and shoot straight, stay gritty.
All right, sounds good.
Okay, gritty friends, I hope you enjoyed that podcast. If you did, please take a moment to leave us a review on iTunes, Podbean, or Stitcher. We love reading your reviews. And connect with us on social media if you're on there. Look us up on Facebook and Instagram, and take a moment to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can receive notifications when we upload new videos. We've got a sweet deal with Mountain Ops. You get 20% off on all Mountain Ops supplements, combo packs, and apparel when you type in the word gritty at checkout. All right, friends, let me leave you with one other quote from Theodore Roosevelt, who said, "It behooves every man to remember that the work of the critic is of altogether secondary importance, and that, in the end, progress is accomplished by the man who does things." We all have a choice. We can be people who do things or people who criticize the work of others. It's pretty simple, really. Get out there and do your thing. Good luck on your hunts, and stay gritty.
This is Ty Stubblefield, and you're listening to the Gritty Bowman.
Gritty Bowman.